Oh, hi everyone, it's Susie from Esoteric Trading Solutions. I hope you're well. Hope you're living the life you want to. Please be kind to everyone and yourself, your family, friends, pets. Life's very short, so please do what you want to do. I thought I'd just come back. Aneyou, thank you very much for asking these questions. Aneyou, I just did an update on Ripple and Ripple's technology. And Aneyou asked 4 questions, which I thought, were quite good questions, and I just wanted to come back to him on that from the YouTube channel. Excuse me, just having a glass of water, because I thought they were really good questions, and they were also, just to answer them would have been a bit difficult just on the YouTube, on the page. So I thought I'd basically just go through the questions. The first question, Aneyou, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, and you too, apologies if I'm not. The first question Aneyou asked, it has never sat well with me that Ripple owns 60% of the shares of Ripple, of XRP, the currency, and they can use them for their own endeavours. I know it's not a scam, but it does have an odd ring to it. And wouldn't releasing or selling 1 billion coins per month restrict the price growth? Any major growth in Ripple, they would make the company worth friends. Doesn't seem sustainable. I think they're really, really good questions, and I'll go through and talk about this as succinctly as I can. Companies in markets, in many markets, bond markets, money markets, whether it be equity markets or corporate bond markets, can own their own securities, and I don't actually see a problem with that, because I've worked in all different markets, and they can own their own securities. They can buy them back, and they can also issue more securities. So alternatively, they can own their own securities and basically pay for them and cancel them. Cancel, C-A-N-C-E-L, get rid of them. Or they can issue more securities. I don't believe this is a problem for Ripple, because when you understand that Ripple, in the context of the market that it's in, Ripple needs a lot of volume. It needs 100 billion in the market, because it's actually in the wholesale market, not the middle market or not the retail market. So Ripple's technology and its cryptocurrency are basically in a market where the big boys play. So, for example, they'll be in the market with big banks that do trillions a day, not millions, trillions, not billions, but trillions and billions, and they'll be with fund managers that could do $500 million transaction. They'll be where the big players are that need a lot of liquidity and a lot of volume. So 100 billion is not a lot. In the crypto market, because most people are looking at basically, through retail eyes, they think that 100 billion is a lot. It's actually not. In the retail market, let me define that. The retail market is generally the mums and dads, where a transaction size won't be bigger than, say, 250,000. The middle market is generally a transaction size of 500,000 to 5 million. And in the big market, the wholesale market where Ripple plays, a transaction on average can be anything from 10 million to 1 billion, just by one client. Now, I used to work in FX markets, fixed interest, you name it, equity markets. And one of my clients, in a day did $1 billion, worth of equities, which is a lot. So when we talk about the wholesale market, we're talking about, huge volumes. And, and when we're talking about Ripple, because of their technology, they announced a year ago they had 15 billion on their balance sheet, 15 billion in cash. I suspect by now it's probably about 25 billion in cash. And the thing is, because Ripple, the currency, provides liquidity to the banks and the corporates, they need the volume, because they're playing with clients. They've actually got clients in their book, not playing with them, they've actually got clients on their book that do massive amounts of volume. So if you're playing in the wholesale market, you need to have volume. 100 billion is not a lot of volume in the wholesale market. As I said, corporates can do huge amounts, so can banks. I've done huge deals, whether it be in the equity market, the foreign exchange market. I've done massive amounts of deals. To give you an idea, the foreign currency market in a day will do anything from 5 to 6 to 8 trillion. That's on average. Now, when days are really busy and currencies are moving around all over the place, gapping and going up and down 100 basis points, 200, 300, 400, you could get a huge volume day where, 12 trillion has done the foreign currency market. Or if you look at the bond market or the money market, when interest rates have been reduced or rates have gone up, again, you'll get a huge volume day. Just like in the equity market, you'll get a huge volume day where trillions will be done, trillions. So, as I said, Ripple is basically in the in the wholesale market. And because their cryptocurrency and because their technology provides instant settlement and their cryptocurrency provides liquidity, they need a lot on issue to provide that liquidity. The second thing I'll say also is what's on issue, obviously, as you know, can be different to circulating issue. So, for example, Ripple could have 100 billion, which they've issued, but the circulating issue could be 39 bill because they're holding 60 bill. Or the circulating issue could even be less than that. So what could happen is a large corporate or a large bank could hold $1 billion or $2 billion worth of Ripple quite easily. Now, I posted something the other day, I think it was on one of these YouTubes, where someone out there is sitting with nearly $1 billion of Ripple, and they just keep adding more and more to that. What happens is you get with very large banks and very large wholesale clients. It could be a huge fund manager that runs money, and they have something like 260 billion or something or more. They may just sit in, a cryptocurrency like Ripple for a long time, and you may never see that a part of that issuance come to the market. So again, it may not circulate into the market at all. So it's really important. It's important for Ripple particularly to have the liquidity in the market, but I suspect a lot of banks will sit on their cryptocurrency, and I suspect their circulating issue will actually get less and less. So that's what I suspect. And also, as I said, Ripple by now will be sitting on probably 25 billion in cash. Last year they were sitting on 15 billion. There is nothing to stop Ripple, who owns 60% of their cryptocurrency, to actually buy some of that back and have less on issue. I know, I've just said they need liquidity, and of course they do. But obviously, if they buy some back, there's going to be less Ripple currency on issue. And effectively, that will definitely make the price run up just because of that. But the thing is, in this market, the crypto market, people are buying cryptocurrency because they have small issues, not because of the true valuation of a cryptocurrency. Now, I've said this before, something like Sentiment, which has 63 million on issue. Is it 63 million or 60? Yeah, 63 million. People are buying that cryptocurrency at $3 or $3.80 or $6 or $8, and it's got no technology behind it. So this market's a very new market. People don't know what they're doing in this market. They're driving things up, pumping and dumping, and they're buying things without technology or any basis for the valuation at all. And that's crazy because they're buying on low issuance so they can just manipulate it up and down, and that's just nuts. Ripple has a real business, a real case, real revenue streams, and, the valuation of a cryptocurrency should be on that basis, not because it has a low issuance. I mean, it's just absolute bunkum, to be honest. Also, the question Aneyou was also saying is they release 1 billion coins per month into the market, and they need to do that, and I think I've touched on this just before, is because there are banks out there and fund managers out there and hedge funds, and there's been quite a few hedge funds set up in the last quarter. In the last 3 months, I've seen an extra 277 crypto hedge funds being set up. And what will happen is, as I said before, these crypto hedge funds will sit on crypto because they have a portfolio of where their clients want them to invest in crypto coins, and they will sit in these crypto coins just like they sit in equities, and you may not see them circulating in the market, for the next 3 or 4 years if they have a long-term view. Like, for example, with an equity mandate, a fund manager will have an equity mandate, say, for 3 to 5 years for growth, and they'll literally hold a stock for 3 to 5 years. Now, with Ripple, I suspect also people will hold Ripple for anything from 2 to 5 years to get the growth out of it. And, you know, again, that will affect the circulating issuance, what is available out there in terms of Ripple. Again, I'm quite relaxed and new with the billion coins being released every month. I don't have a problem with it because they need to maintain liquidity in the coin and in the issuance, because they deal with the big boys, the big boys and girls, like huge volumes. And you'll see that when I go through some of these figures. You know, and then your next question says, any major growth in Ripple value would make the company worth trillions. It doesn't seem to be sustainable. Well, Ripple's valuation at the moment is currently, you know, it's $1.10, and the circulating issuance 39 bill. So that just puts the valuation at the moment at 42 bill. And it's a very simplified valuation. It's looking at market cap, which is very, very simplified version of valuation. It's not the true essence of valuation. Market cap is only looks at, and as I've said this in previous YouTubes, market cap only looks at equity, obviously price and equity. It doesn't look at anything else. One market cap is not the same as another. So you can have two companies with the same market cap of 42 billion, but one company may not have any cash and may have huge debt. So thus, you know, their net value is zero. Say, for example, the market cap is 42 billion and they have 42 billion debt, then the net value is zero. Ripple is not like that. Ripple has no debt. They've got 15 to 25 billion sitting on their balance sheet with no debt and future revenue clients, massive amounts of money coming through the door. Currency value, like anything else, like a share, should be on the value of the business going forward. So the clients, the revenue generated for the business going forward. And cryptocurrency should be no different than that. So, you know, Ripple's value, as far as I'm concerned, is massively underpriced. Massively. If we compare Ripple to a tech company, which it is, and you compare it to, say, a Google and an Apple, and I've stated this for ages, Ripple is a Google or an Apple, simply because they are the first to have this sort of technology. Yes, we've got, you know, Bitcoin, which was the first mover, but no one can do what Ripple can do in terms of instant transactions, you know, 1,500 to 2,000, the wholesale market, and then they've got another system where they can do 70,000, plus provide XRP, you know, which provides liquidity as well. And no one can do that out there. And Ripple has that first move, and also they're getting, you know, massive big clients like obviously MoneyGram, Lian, American Express, you know, the list goes on. Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority, and most people don't know the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, but they're a central funding authority. They're basically the bank for the country. Now, Saudi Arabia is extremely rich, like seriously wealthy. They don't run a huge debt problem like the US. They are net investors. They have a lot of money, and that is a huge account for Ripple. Seriously, a huge account. So basically, the value of a share or a cryptocurrency, you know, should be valued on the revenue and the income generated by that company to determine the value of that cryptocurrency. Now, this is where, you know, the cryptocurrency market is wrong. Looking at the the cryptocurrency price by the issuance level is just bunkum. But even in saying that, if I believe that Ripple is a Google or an Apple, give you an example, Apple's capital market, their market capitalization is 877 billion off memory, and Google's is about 700, I think, 700 billion. Now, if I believe that Ripple is one of those companies because it's first mover on blockchain technology and instant settlement, this is as big as the internet as far as I'm concerned, then, you know, then Ripple's valuation could get up to something like a 700 billion or a 500 billion. Because honestly, if Ripple went and got listed on the New York Stock Exchange as an IT stock, it's going to list for a very huge penny. There's no doubt about it. I think when Google got listed on the stock exchange years ago, it was running at something like, from memory, $300 US. Oh, there's my cat. My big fat cat, Tally. And now, you know, Google, you know, got up to $1,000 US. I'm not sure where it is at the moment, but, you know, it's certainly very, very high. So, look, just coming back to what Aneyou said, and this, I want to make this fairly quick, but anyway, going back to this, Ripple's trying to solve a problem with the banks and corporates in terms of a $24 trillion problem with banks holding $24 trillion in their Nostro accounts, which is the bank's primary account. Because they cannot settle instantly, and they settle with SWIFT, which is anything from 3 to 10 business days, they have to hold surplus cash in their Nostro accounts to cover these cash flows. Now, Ripple, because they instantly settle, it gets rid of this $24 trillion problem, and this is a real problem for the banks. Okay, this money sits in the bank's bank account, earning nothing, not going out for lending, not being invested in anything, earning absolutely nothing in terms of interest rate. Doesn't go out on the lending side where they lend money to, you know, for you to buy a house or anything else. They're earning nothing. So there is a cost of money involved, a cost of interest, an opportunity cost of not earning anything, plus there is a cost of compliance and middle management and risk controls, and it's a huge cost. Also a cost of reporting, you know, to the Reserve Bank Authority or APRA or SEC or whatever it might be in the US. So there's huge amounts of costs for this money just sitting around. And that's where Ripple comes in, because if you use X-Current, you basically get rid of all these costs, and it's going to reduce the bank's costs by 30%. Okay, 30%, which is massive. If you reduce a bank's cost by 30%, it's like giving them a 30% more onto their profit and loss, onto their profit. Okay, and that's a huge cost. So let's just go still, okay, what else? And just addressing this about major growth and Ripple's value with trends. So let's address that. If we look at the market they're looking at, okay, Ripple particularly, they're looking at the Indian, and this is the market they're actually getting. The Indian remittance market of 12 trillion, the global daily FX volume market of 6 trillion a day, the Nostro account problem with the banks of 24 trillion a day. And, you know, they've got MoneyGram, they just got in, they did American Express, Lian, they're the only cryptocurrency basically that can do something in China. Neo can't do it, no one else can, as you know. So say, for example, these guys are trying to solve just in a day, you know, a $42 trillion problem. Okay, $42 trillion problem, 42 trillion day a problem when they have 100 billion on issuance and 39 billion circulating is not a lot of circulating coin. Let's put it that way. So, you know, it's not a lot of circulating coin at all. Also, if they're trying to solve a problem of a 42 trillion problem, how do you value that? Because it's certainly not being valued or reflected in the crypto price at the moment, as far as I'm concerned. So let's talk about the valuation, you know, addressing a news question. You know, valuation, you know, there's many different forms of valuation, many different forms, and not all valuations are correct. That's why professional people use a combination of valuations. That's really important. There's a discounted cash flow valuation, multiple methods, market cap, which is a very simplified version, as I said, doesn't take into debt, doesn't take in contingent liabilities, all liabilities. There's comparable valuations where people look at similar companies listed on the stock exchange and go, where's their value? Ripple does this, they're an IT company, yes, their value should have a price-earnings ratio of 16, or it should have a price-earnings ratio of 50 or whatever, and its value should be somewhere like this. You know, if it's an IT company, it should be valued like an IT company, and that's the fact on the stock market. Now, that's the thing. If Ripple gets valued on the stock market, say, hypothetically speaking, for $100, okay, and, you know, it's got bonds out there, and it's got crypto out there, and it's got equity out there, which are all funding tools for Ripple, I hasten to add. you can't have a situation where the crypto is so cheap and the stock, is expensive at $100. Because what will happen is the arbitrageurs will come in, they will buy the crypto and sell the stock and vice versa. That's what they do in the bond market and the equity market. So when, say a company like GE General Electric, who everyone knows, issue bonds and they issue stock, and the stock's trading at, say, a 6% yield, and say the bonds, their own bonds, are trading at a 12% yield, what the arbitrage are going to do is they're going to sell the equity because you're only getting 6% on it, and you're going to buy the bonds at 12, which are more secure. So, that's why I'm saying if a company has different issuance, and there's nothing to stop Ripple from going into the bond market and issuing a bond, there's nothing to stop them from going and getting listed on the stock exchange, which I think they will eventually, and issuing shares, and there's nothing to stop them from issuing more crypto or less crypto. I suspect they'll issue less crypto or buy it back because, again, they're just funding tools for Ripple. But as I said, valuations, have to be comparable. If Ripple's, equity is expensive and Ripple's cryptocurrency is cheap, the arbitrageurs will swiftly move out of their stock into the cryptocurrency. So just getting back to this, to value companies, it's never easy to value companies, let alone cryptocurrency. But, we use equity valuation tools generally to value cryptocurrency because we're basically valuing a startup company with clients and with technical know-how in blockchain and the like. So even if we just looked at Ripple alone, and they had $15 billion on their balance sheet, and if we assume that Ripple's an ongoing concern, just like in accounting, they're an ongoing concern, and we assume that revenue is in perpetuity, like the stock market will value Apple's revenue in perpetuity at a P of 16, which is quite low when the overall stock market is running. It generally runs on average of a price-earnings ratio of about 15 in the US, but probably at the moment it's running on about 17. So if we assume that, Ripple has, a PE even of 16, price earnings of 16 going forward, just on literally, on basically, $15 billion a day is going to put Ripple's cryptocurrency either at 615 or 240. Now, the reason why I have the two different valuations is one's assuming 100 bill or one's assuming, the circulating issuance of crypto for Ripple of 39 bill. So either way, whichever way you look at it, Ripple is extremely underpriced, undervalued, just on the $15 billion cash that they have already. Ripple's at 110 at the moment, so they're very, very undervalued. So there's something very flawed in the way the crypto market is valuing Ripple, I have to say. If you look at Google generates $12.66 billion a year. Ripple has $15 billion already, and I suspect, and that was last year, I suspect that's probably got to $25 billion because they have a lot of clients they've put on since last year when I was quoting those figures. Google's market cap is $757 billion, and as I said, Ripple's is $42 billion. Their price earnings ratio for Google is 61, which is extremely high. But arguably, I've used a very conservative price earnings ratio of 16, like Apple, and Apple's, income for the year is $53 billion, and their market cap is 877. So even, obviously using a very, very low price earnings ratio, which is equivalent to the whole US market, stock market, we're going to come up with two valuations depending on whether we use 100 bill or 39 bill, either 615 or 240. So currently Ripple at $1.10 is extremely low. So to answer your question, Aneyou, I think their growth is absolutely sustainable, and we've all come on that. And I also think that the valuation of their cryptocurrency, in my mind, you guys have to do your own due diligence, is really, really low in the way I value things. And I look at a lot of other things too, but this is a very simple way. But it is, to me, in my mind, very low value. So, as I said, this 24, this is a real problem. The $24 trillion dormant cash that the banks have in their Nostro accounts. There's a 6 trillion FX instant settlement they can do, which is also a problem because FX doesn't instantly settle. There's a 12 million, trillion problem. Again, you don't get your money straight away. The banks take money out of your account on Thursday. Your friend doesn't see it until Tuesday. So we know Ripple's already in this market solving a $42 trillion problem. And even if we said, and we're saying this, very conservatively, even if we said Ripple got paid 7% of this $42 trillion problem, where the banks can save themselves and the corporate treasuries that do FX and everything else, or, Oanda FX, or Lian, the corporate, or Saudi Arabia Monetary Authority, or Amex, or whoever it is, MoneyGram, the list goes on and on and on. Even if we said, that they all save 30% and they don't use Ripple's currency, and even if we said Ripple gets 7% of that, for technology and not using their currency, that's going to add another 2.94 billion cash to Ripple's war chest. Okay, now 2.94 billion at basically a forward P of 16, is again going to add, more money to their share price. Okay, so share price either at 736 or 287. So even at 7%, which I think is very, very conservative, because the banks are going to be saving 30% just on using X-Current, the banks and corporates and other clients of Ripple's. If they use X-Current and X-Rapid together, Ripple's currency as well, they're going to save 60%. Now, if they save 60%, which basically makes them more competitive, 60% more competitive than someone else, what do you think Ripple's going to get paid for that? Ripple aren't going to give away that technology for nothing. So even at 7%, that's very, cheap for a bank to pay Ripple when they're getting a 60% saving, which basically is akin to putting 60% back onto your balance sheet as income. Okay, so, and don't forget, if a bank or anyone, an FX provider, whether it be Oanda or whether it be MoneyGram or Amex, if they're saving 60% on their bottom line, think about what that does for their market. They have a competitive advantage. MoneyGram, Amex, Lian, over all their own competitors in their own market. For example, Amex, is saving 60% on its bottom line. It can now go out to all the clients in America, not their own clients, but Visa's clients, MasterCard, whatever the other people you guys use in terms of credit cards, and suddenly go and have a huge marketing campaign and suddenly provide a credit card and can buy, provide it at 2%, where Visa's still at, I don't know what your rates are over there, 10%, maybe MasterCard's at 10%. Now, you as a consumer, you're not going to go with Visa at 10% or MasterCard at 10% because they're using old technology. You're going to go with Amex, who are using Ripple, because they're charging 2%, and that's what you're going to see. But what I'm saying is Ripple's technology gives the Amexes of the world and MoneyGram of the world and Oanda FX and Saudi Arabia and Lian, the list goes on, a huge, huge competitive advantage that their other competitors don't have. So the reality is, if banks don't take on Ripple's technology, they have to pretty quickly find a competitor that can do as well as Ripple, as quickly as Ripple in terms of transaction speed and everything else, and that's accepted, by their compliance and everything else. Because if they don't, they're going to lose their business to their competitors, and that's the truth of it. So the banks don't have a lot of time. CBA is using Ripple's technology here, and all the other major banks here are looking at Ripple's technology as well and paying Ripple, because they know if CBA uses Ripple's technology, which they are, ANZ, Westpac and NAB are going to be behind the 8 ball. They're going to start losing clients to CBA because CBA can price stuff a lot more competitively. And that's what the name of the game is. It's a very competitive world out there. So just getting back to this, and that sort of talks about, and it's sort of addressing Aneyou's, sustainability question, because that's what it's about. Just go back. I just want to make sure I've covered that. And then he said any major growth does it seem sustainable? Well, as far as I'm concerned, it is sustainable because they keep adding new clients all the time, which is adding to their revenue base and their income base, which should be technically adding to their crypto value, which it's not. That's why it's such an opportunity. Any other market, the stock would go through the roof. If it was on the stock market, its stock would go through the roof. So sustainability, Ripple, as long as they keep adding revenue and clients, which they are, their growth is sustainable, and they keep adding revenue and clients constantly. No one else has the technology. They have the first mover in this technology, and they keep adding all the time. They've done so much work. There's so much networking and so much advertising, and people are knowing them. They're on Bloomberg, they're on CNN, they're on the news, they're on everything. Also, they're in China. No other cryptocurrency can be in China. It's illegal in China. But they've got a huge company, Lian, which has incredible networks that deals with everyone. They have their own network. Not just big banks use Ripple, it's corporates. It could be anyone. It could be a hedge fund. It can be anyone. It can be a high net worth client that has 100 bill, 500 mil, whatever. It can be anyone that you can use their technology, because everyone has a settlement issue. Even me, even you. As I said before, if I go to the bank and they take money out of my account and I owe it to my friend doesn't get it till next week. If I get paid by the boss and he does a transaction today, I may not see it, not tomorrow, but the next day. With Ripple, I would see it instantly. So I'm absolutely convinced that the opportunity for Ripple is going to get bigger and bigger and bigger, because the more clients they put on, the more the clients' competitors are going to be screwed if they don't use the technology. That's the thing, right? As I said, Amex, has got the technology, but what do you think, Visa and PayPal and all those other payment companies are thinking that don't have the technology? If they don't take on the technology of Ripple or find someone that's got it, even if they don't like Ripple, they're just going to lose their business, because taking on Ripple's technology, even taking on their technology, gives you an incredible advantage over your competitors of 30%. If you use the cryptocurrency, it gives you another advantage of 30%. So you've got a total advantage of 60% against your competitors that are using the old SWIFT system. Okay, so we've just gone through that one. Let's go through. So the next question, oh my God, we're only up to number 2. Notice that the rapid testers have specifically stated they are testing XRapid back office, and they also seem hesitant to admit it. Now, I want to say something. This XRapid, obviously, it's XCurrent, the settlement system for processing foreign exchange with cryptocurrency, which is mainly back office and front office, okay? At the consumer end, the consumer doesn't actually deal with these systems. These systems are dealt with in-house, okay? Why the businesses are probably fairly reluctant to make a big statement that they're using Ripple and their currency is because, like I said before, Aneyou, it gives them an incredible competitive advantage over their competitors. Okay, so MoneyGram, whoever they compete with, in America, I don't know who they compete with, but obviously they would. Like, I don't know, we have Thomas Cook, I think that's an American, Thomas Cook, foreign exchange, Thomas Cook, other foreign exchange, whatever, payment houses. These guys will compete with Thomas Cook, Visa, PayPal, you name it. Now, these guys have now got a 60% competitive advantage compared to PayPal, Visa, anyone that doesn't use Ripple system, unless PayPal and Visa and, MasterCard have got an instant settlement system to instantly settle foreign currency payments, and they've got, Ripple, which provides liquidity. They're not going to be in the same position as MoneyGram. So it doesn't surprise me that these guys, when they come out, any of these businesses, they come out, they're fairly quiet about the new technology they're using. Because as you can appreciate in business, it's a very competitive environment, and people don't want to tell their competitors what systems they're using to make their business more competitive and better. You can understand? Because these guys now can use a strategy where they can cut their prices in half to get someone else's clients. That's the whole point. You know, it's like a bank. If a bank saves 60% in costs using Ripple's technology, what do you think the bank's going to do? They've got now an additional 60% that they wouldn't have had. They've got now. They can go out there with a lending deal and say, right, Aneyou, you can come and get a mortgage from us at 2% to go and buy a house when every other bank in America or wherever is at 8%. Because we are using incredible technology that has made us totally efficient. It's got rid of all our risk management compliance people in middle office that was costing us billions a year, and it's got rid of all our incredible costs that we used to have to pay on holding money in nostro accounts, earning nothing. So this is what I need to say this again and again. 60% is like adding back, 60 cents in the dollar as profit. When you have more, you can actually discount in other parts of the business to get in more clients. So that's why, banks and, big institutions like MoneyGram would be fairly careful, because they don't want their competitors knowing what they're doing, because they can actually slash prices to get more new clients in. And that's what the name of the game is these days. Clients grow your business. Without clients, you're dead in the water. And this is the whole thing. Ripple have clients, income, and revenue. Every other crypto out there hardly has any clients, any income, or any revenue. It's no different to a stock. If a business is not earning any revenue and doesn't have clients, the business is going to go broke. The crypto market should be looked at in the same way. Valuations for some of these cryptos is absolute garbage when the cryptos have no clients, no revenue, and no income. It's just nuts, absolute nuts. So, as I said, these systems give the institution that's using these systems an incredible advantage. Amex can come out above Visa or MasterCard or anyone and show a credit interest rate lower than their competitors, and thus and advertise it everywhere and get in maybe 100,000 new clients, things like that. And they can put other credit card providers out of business. Number 3, going back to Aneyou's, so that was number 2. Crikey, what else we got? Number 3. Extravert will definitely save banks a lot of money in transfer, but banks are the ones making money from transfer, especially the big, powerful ones. Why would they involve themselves with that transition? Another really, really good question. The big, powerful banks are JP Morgan, Chase, and Citi. They're huge US banks. The smaller banks hate them, hate these guys with a passion. And if you know, these guys, these 3 big banks, have been the most verbal and the most against blockchain and using anything like a Ripple. And as you say, Aneyou, it's because these guys make so much money. These guys operate generally as correspondent banks for the smaller banks. Remember I did the YouTube just yesterday? These guys act as the middle person or middle bank, as a correspondent bank, because they have branches in other parts of the world. Okay, so the smaller banks have to go through these guys, and they hate it because these guys rape and pillage them. They have to pay credit limit fees, they have to pay line fees, borrowing fees, correspondent bank fees, foreign exchange charges, the list goes on and on. So these guys have a lot to lose if all the smaller banks use Ripple. They have an enormous amount to lose, okay, because they're going to lose a lot of money. That's for sure. But on the other side of that, the flip side of that, these guys are going to lose their clients if they can't instantly settle foreign currency and deposits, and you know, and do liquidity, you know, like Ripple, which they can't. They don't have the technology. So they're really caught in a bad spot, because while they're raping and pillaging other banks, they've got their clients on the other side saying, oh, look, if I go to ABC Bank that uses Ripple, I'm being shown a much better rate for foreign currency, a much better rate for something else and something else, because the bank that's using Ripple has saved 60%. So these guys, JP Morgan, Chase and Citi, are either going to have to develop their own instant settlement system in competition with Ripple, and Ripple has first mover advantage, or they're going to be dead in the water eventually, because the smaller banks will go and use Ripple and get a competitive advantage. And this will stop these guys from making as much money as they do. And it is a problem for these guys, because eventually they'll lose their clients as well if they don't get something that's instant settlement. And it's no wonder Jamie Dimon's been so verbal against blockchain. It doesn't surprise me, because he stands to lose a fortune. You know, just in terms of, you know, raping and pillaging their clients in terms of what they take out of foreign currency. They could take out anything from 10 to 500 basis points, and what they charge, you know, smaller corporates and smaller banks. They charge them a fortune in line fees, credit line fees, limits, borrowing fees, you name it. So the next question Aneyou had was, it's number 3. This is going longer than I thought. Number 4. If X represents immediate buy and sell of Ripple, does that still cause an increase in the price of Ripple and volume, since there's hardly anything between? Would that benefit? Would the benefit just be indirect, as people feel confident in the use of the coin? Now, you've got to understand a valuation of a coin is like the valuation of a share price. There's a lot that goes into the evaluation of a security. You know, and cryptocurrency is a security. You know, basically, the question is, and as I said before, you know, what is the utility of the coin? What does it provide? Does it have incredible technology that no one else has? Yes, it does. Does it have longevity? Yes, it does. Is there a great business model behind it, and a great IT team, and a great broking team, and a great marketing team, and all that? Yes, it does. Does it have incredible clients, and are they increasing their clients? Yes. Does it have market penetration? Yes. Network. Do they have clients that generate revenue? Yes. Does the coin have utility? Are they adding more and more clients from the wholesale market? What are the opportunities? Middle market, retail market, technology. You know, is the supply low, high? Will they do buybacks? Is the cryptocurrency less volatile than the fiat? Will people use Ripple over and above the US dollar, issuing more bonds and more currency into the market? There's a lot that goes into the valuation of cryptocurrency. And in my mind, the cryptocurrency of Ripple is not being valued properly, because it's not taking into effect the clients that are being added, and the revenue that's being generated by those clients. Now, in any other market, the equity market, the bond market, any other market, the currency market, if the balance sheet of a government or the balance sheet of a corporation is improving with more and more revenue and more clients, which are producing more and more profit, and the share doesn't go up, or the bond, you know, the bond price doesn't go up, or the credit rating of the country doesn't go up, what's wrong with people? I mean, this is akin to what's happening with Ripple. More and more clients are being added, more revenues being added, more incomes being added, more utilities being added, and more profit, and yet the crypto is doing nothing. That's why the valuation is not right. In my mind, the valuation is not right. So, and that tells me this market's a very new market, and there's a lot of opportunity in this market, because Ripple will continue to add new clients, generate more income, and generate more revenue, and will increase its profitability as time goes on. And the minute it lists on the stock exchange, which I suspect it will in the future, this cryptocurrency will not be at $1. That's for sure. Anyway, I did go a lot longer than I thought. I'm sorry about that. I just got a bit carried away, but I hope that answers your questions, and please come back if you've got any questions. Thanks, Aneyou. Hope you all look after yourselves. Be well, be kind to each